everyone, it's Tammy with Gare. Recently we had posted some crochet inspired designs. They're really simple to do. I'm going to show you how to do it, so let's jump right in. So the reason why I love this project so much is because it's simple to do. It's really just a series of lines and dots, and you don't want to be afraid to get too crazy with the color because sometimes the more clashy the better. There's a lot of room for creativity here and different size plates for layering, so it's really a lot of fun. It actually would be a great class for kids or adults. So look at how nice that looks with the blue contrast plate in the background. So you can definitely paint some solid plates to add in the mix, and it will really make things really vibrant and beautiful. And don't be afraid to go dark either. Even some of the ones that we did with black came out really, really good. Okay, so we're about to start. I have a few pieces here for inspiration, and I did already base coat my piece with 2 coats of polar bear. So we'll put that color aside, we don't need that one. And the way I found this easy is to use square brushes. You don't have to use a square brush, but I found it easiest to use the square ones. This is the one we're going to be doing today as a demonstration. So the first thing I'm going to do is put a little color on my plate. I usually just pour out all the colors because you don't need too much. So the colors we're using are Anchors Away, Orange Crush, Key Lime Pie, Red Blaze, and Smiley Face. And these smaller size dots and lines, I actually use this brush, the little square brush. And then when I get to the edge, I'm going to use the bigger square brush. And for the little lines, we're going to use a liner brush. All right, so I usually just eye it, and I just kind of put a dot in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Doesn't have to be too perfect. And then I do the middle with the square brush as well. I just dip it in the paint, and I just blot some paint in to make a circle. And you want this to be heavy, so because we want to do this all with 1 coat each. So you just want to fill it in. And I just went around, and you don't have to make it perfectly even. Because crochet doesn't have perfect lines anyway. Okay, I'm just going to clean my brush. So I cleaned my brush, and the thing about these square brushes are that they can give you kind of a little bit of a line. So if you dip it in the paint, like I'm dipping it in the orange, I dip a little on my plate so it's not too big because I don't want these dots to be too big. And this is how I did this one. And I just went around, and you can see it makes a little shape all on its own. So I'm just getting it full on my brush. I'm loading the paint on my brush so that I only need 1 coat. So if you dip your brush in the paint and you push down too hard, it's going to be a bigger oval. So you just want to do it gently if you want smaller dots. Okay, that's 1 row. All right, so I cleaned my brush, and now when I go do my next color, I do the same thing. I just get a little more paint on there. I really dip it in, and I'm just going to go in between all the other ones. And if you want to make your shape a little bigger, you just move your brush around slightly. Give it a little swirl, just a tiny swirl, and it's going to be a little bit bigger. On to the next color, which is going to be Red Blaze. So for this one, I'm still going to use this size brush. Just going to really load it, get a good amount on there, and I'm going to go in between them all again. And sometimes I dip my brush in twice so I can get a good amount, and you just put a little more paint on your brush and give it a little swirl, and you can see how I made it a little bit bigger. So this going around will be the next biggest size. Okay, so for this last color, I could use this brush, but it's a little easier to use the bigger one now. I'm going to use the square brush again. I'm going to dip it in, and I'll show you on the plate here. You can see you can get a much bigger dot if you use the bigger brush. So the way I did the last row was I put a big one in the corner, in each corner. And then I just put one on each side like this. And then I put a couple in between. These don't have to be even, going in on each side. As long as you just put them in there, they'll look good. I'm just going to do one over there, one over here. Maybe I'll do two here. I think I did have one in the middle there, but this last row isn't important to get them too even, as long as you have them in there. So you could just leave it like this. It looks really pretty, just like this, and we did do some that had just the dots. But if you add in the little lines, it looks more like a crocheted look. You could use a Fun Writer bottle to do this. I felt like I have more control with the liner brush. And the way I did this was, this particular first row, the orange, you could just leave the way it is. But if you want to connect the green to the orange, you're just going to take a little paint, and I would just drag the lines down. Sometimes you almost didn't even need to dip it in the paint because it was still wet. It's okay if your line goes into the next color. That actually makes it look more realistic. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the Rockin' Red. It's almost like you're giving these little dots legs. The nice thing is that if you don't want to use the liner brush and make all the lines, these still look really good without the lines. All right, clean my brush, and I'm going to do the same thing with the smiley face. It gets a little tricky because these don't all match up with the exact amounts. So don't worry about it, just connect them wherever you can. This one, I would just do this, and then I would just put 3 lines here and connect it over, because it's not going to matter. They just look like strands of string, which is good. That's what you want. All right, that's it. It's that easy. So I hope you have some fun with the different colors and the different size plates and the different designs. And if you have some classes, please post it and tag us, because we love to see what you do. And I'll see you in my next video.